Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than me, the lesson.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Thank you, Rob. Greetings, all you Balkaholics and Ferrelliacs. Welcome into the debut episode of HSFF Hour Extra Reps. This is a recorded show that we did on Wednesday night after our normal high-stakes fantasy football show ended, and it is airing to you right now. Recorded show. Feel free to post your YouTube comments, but we won't be able to respond to them in real time because we recorded this on Wednesday. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're enjoying some fantasy football as well. FFPC Dynasty and Dynasty Empire Orphans for as little as $1 now at myffpc.com. The Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament, also available for your drafting pleasure. $40,000 grand prize, $125 entry for that Best Ball Never Too Early tournament, and then the Superflex Best Ball Never Too Early version, $35 to enter, a $10,000 grand prize there as well. The FFPC Big Gorilla once again featuring $1 million grand prize, $350 to enter, but that 7 Bananas promo is live, so you can win free FFPC teams just by joining. And of course, that early Rampage tournament, we are taking entries on that. You enter the Big Gorilla right now, you're basically getting 2 tournaments for the price of one. Don't forget about the Baby Gorilla as well. $125 to enter that. $100,000 grand prize. MyFFPC.com, MyFFPC.com is where to go for that. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live, which will be, and I'll give you the schedule of that coming up for next week at the end of the show. My name is Eric Balkman, at Eric Balkman on the X. You know me from the RotoViz High Stakes Slowdown, the FFPC Insider Access Show, and the Fantasy Football Players Championship. I'll bring in my co-host right now. Actually, I will not bring in my co-host right now because he is just, nope, now I will bring him in right now. He is the manager, the commissioner, the boss, the head honcho over at the KFFSC, KFFSC.com. He is one Ferrell Elliott. Ferrell, good evening. Happy Friday to you.
I was away from my station because I wanted to get you the hoodie.
Oh, look at that. Lovely KFFSC Scody.
You know, I cannot wait to get our guest here on Extra Reps because I enjoyed his time on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, and now we get to spend some extra time with him. And I feel like, you know, it's like we're just taking him into, you know, just we're going 15 rounds and beyond with it. But I think he is very much up to the task, and we've got to talk to him about coming to Kentucky. You know,
yes.
Maybe, you know, we're going to put a little bourbon in that cider and get him here. And then I wonder if he could just, you know, spend a couple of weeks in the United States. That's what I want to get.
That would be cool.
You know, the concept of the show, Balky, our Friday night show is to be a little looser and be a little open and be a little, you know, review and you know, this could be a lot of fun.
I think it will be. And we'll do extra reps each and every Friday going here on out with just some more bonus material that we couldn't get to in the Wednesday edition that we're going to get to right now. With a little help from our friend who is going to be coming on right now, 18-time FFPC League winner, 8 Dynasty Championships alone in 2025. Connect with him on X at EPB 1983 Dynasty. Joining us live from England in the middle of the night, essentially there. Please welcome onto the show, Mr. Paul Brenton. Paul, so glad to have you on Extra Reps. No pressure. You're our first ever guest on this show. Paul, do we have you? Hold on.
Paulie, go ahead and talk to us.
Yeah, I can hear you, Fro. I can't hear you, Eric.
You can't hear me? Hold on.
Eric, get yourself straightened out, buddy.
Hold on. Am I better now? Can you hear me now?
Still muted.
No. Well, you know, I'll talk to you until Balky can figure it out. Paul. It's you and me, buddy. Have you ever been to Kentucky? That's what I want to know.
I have never been to Kentucky.
So you've got to get to Kentucky, and we've got to see what we can do with that cider combination with a little bourbon in it. Are you a bourbon drinker? Have you ever had any bourbon?
Yeah, I'm not particularly. I think
Don't
it's
say it.
the-
Don't say it. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes.
Yes, yes,
There you go.
yes.
Good job. The Balky sent me home from Wisconsin. He lives right in the shadow of Green Bay there in Appleton, Wisconsin, and that's actually the town where the visiting teams, like your Dolphins, would headquarter should they come to play in Green Bay. And that's another thing that we got to get you. We got to get you staying in the same hotel with the team when you come. When you come to a Dolphins game, and in Las Vegas where all the teams stay, most of the teams. You know where they stay? We've talked about it all night long. They stay at the Virgin. They are at the Virgin. They got you fit right in there. Balky, did you ever show up verbally?
Can you hear me now, Paul? Am I coming through it all now? No, still. Oh,
Paulie did it. It's we'll just keep going at it. We'll just keep going at it. Who's your favorite? Who's your favorited situation in football right now that we didn't talk to? We didn't talk about much quarterbacks on Wednesday night. What? There was a lot of chat. You made a statement earlier on that Ibuka was the next Jerry Rice. And that was not as far-fetched. That was not as far-fetched as some of the nonsense that was going on in the commentary about quarterbacks, good and bad and indifferent. Your thought about some of the quarterback movement that we might see and some of the quarterbacks who are stinging and are going to play better. I got one in my mind, and I'd like to hear what you think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting off-season. Obviously, my Dolphins, see what happens there. I think I'm really interested to see what happens in Minnesota. It sounds like they're moving on from JJ McCarthy, or at least that's the rumor mill, isn't it? I think so. I'm really interested to see that. I think Justin Jefferson is crying out for somebody who can be more consistent. It's such a waste of a great receiver last season, I think, and I think he was feeling that frustration. Saw some interviews with him where you can see that frustration sort of starting to come through. I think Atlanta as well, who's what's going to happen there? They're going to stick with Penix. They're going to bring someone in. There's obviously rumours of Kyler Murray. I think it's going to be a really interesting off-season from a quarterback perspective.
I think some of these teams are looking at a situation of what New Orleans did with Tyler Shuck, who I finally learned, and he's a product of University of Louisville, Kentucky, my hometown, and now he's spent a year in the NFL, and I finally learned how to pronounce his last name because it was mispronounced here in Louisville by all the media for months, and it stuck with me in my head. But Tyler Shuck, I thought given a full season last year, he came on late. I thought given a full season, he might have been a Rookie of the Year candidate. I was very impressed with him. Your thought on this player and just what you think about certain Saints situations.
Saints.
Yes. He's the starting quarterback of the Saints, so other players with the Saints. And maybe talk a little bit about your thoughts on Alvin Kamara. Is this the end of the road, not of Kamara as a NFLer, but as a contributing and impressive fantasy football player?
Yeah, I think let's start with Kamara. I think we saw last season that Kamara was not the player he was. Maybe he wasn't getting the targets that he got previously as the offense evolved. I'm selling Kamara if I can sell Kamara in all formats, really. I think he'll still, from an NFL perspective, as you say, he'll still have a role to play in that offense. But from a fantasy perspective, I think you should be cutting your ties and moving on. And I'd probably take a mid to late second in Dynasty for him, and just throw a dart at a rookie.
What about now, Paul? Am I coming through now? Can you hear me now? Still nothing? Ferrell, can you hear me?
Oh, buddy, you sound so warm and engaging and pleasant, and you're coming in with that great voice of yours, and your beard looks great. Maybe if you put the cap on backwards, you can get a rally cap, and we can get Paulie to hear you. And maybe we should invite Paulie to log out and log back in.
Yeah, Paul.
I'm really great with the interwebs, Paulie. So that was a genius idea. I just said.
Yeah, Paul's going to pop back out, and then he's going to pop back in, and hopefully we're good to go then.
I don't like this look as much as I thought I might have. I think I want you to go back.
Oh,
to
put it back? Okay.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, that looks. It's just a little more manly. You look, you look kind of collegiate in that other thing.
What's wrong with me looking collegiate?
Now you look more like a graduate. Like a guy that really has that's what's going on. Hey,
right.
Paulie's back.
I'm going to test my sound. Paul, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go. I was glad I was here to check that out for you guys. Man, that makes me put that on my resume. It's your thumbs up, Balky. Everything's good. You got a thumbs up. So now he went away on us.
Okay. Am I good, Paul? Am I good?
You are good now.
You're
Sorry.
good.
Thank God. Okay. Jesus.
Extra reps is taking Balky extra time, but we got there.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right. We're all good. Now
We've been talking about
now my,
quarterbacks.
oh God, is mine
and
not
stuff
working now?
that.
Jesus.
There he goes again. He's back. Okay. Yeah. Balky, you're gonna come in with some strong fantasy football analysis, or you're just gonna keep bending around there? Paulie, I don't think he can hear us now.
I can. Okay, I got you now.
Excellent.
Good.
Okay. Oh,
Sorry about
all
that.
right. Well, the show is off to a great start. If this was real
Yes,
life,
Weird Beard, our show is off to a great start.
we would be canceled now at this point. Now, I have to ask, did you guys talk about Kyler Murray at all yet? Because I want to get to that.
Too much, I think. I think
much?
everyone's
Okay.
agreed that he's,
Okay.
he's a vagabond quarterback with no home. You got anything new to add?
Well, I just want to know what you should be doing in Dynasty right now, Paul, with Kyler Murray, because he's Sans team right now. We don't know where he's going to be playing. Is this a buying opportunity for you?
Yeah, I'm definitely where I've got him. I'm holding him in one QB and in Superflex. I truly believe he's going to end up as a starter somewhere. His deal isn't going to be expensive, and whether that is somewhere like Atlanta, Minnesota, I think he's still got a lot of value in fantasy football. He's still one of those quarterbacks that can run with the ball. He's not necessarily the most accurate, but he can support. So he would be able to support, I think, better than we've seen over the last year or so. Someone like Justin Jefferson, he can support a tier 1 wide receiver in my mind.
Yeah, and
perhaps, but I don't know where the heat in the NFL is coming for this player. I don't know how many. We got 9 new coaches, 11 or 12 new offensive coordinators. I don't know who's going to put their resume on the chopping block for Kyler Murray as quarterback. That's just what I can't buy.
yeah, I mean, there's certain somebody called it a heat check. I think it's like whoever decides to sign Kyler Murray, it's like a total heat check. Like you got to be running pure because if this screws up, like if you screw this up, and it's going to set your franchise back. Now he could be playing on the minimum or something very close to the minimum. That's a possibility as well, which would certainly help you with building some pieces around him or improving a defense. Whoever it's going to be, Atlanta, the Jets, Miami is a possibility too. Paul, I know it is what it is with that. But Murray's an interesting guy right now. I want to move on here because time is of the essence. Nick Kosmider, I might be mispronouncing his name. He covers the Broncos for The Athletic, and he says they're going to closely examine the veteran running back market. Kosmider in this piece on The Athletic mentioned Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, and Rico Dowdle, and don't forget J.K. Dobbins, who was on that team last year. I said this before Dobbins got signed last year, Paul. I said they were always going to bring in somebody with Harvey, and I think in Dynasty right now there might be a certain belief amongst RJ Harvey owners that this is it's wheels up, baby, in 2026. They're going to add somebody here. And to me, now's not the time to be buying Harvey. You probably want to sell Harvey right now and buy him after they sign somebody, because they're going to sign somebody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you on that. I'd be selling any Harvey shares. I think he got so hyped up. I mean, what is he now? He's quite old as well, isn't he? I think was he 25, something like that. So he's for what is his second year. He got hyped up in the off season last year because of the landing spot and because people saw no competition in that offense, which wasn't true. It turned out, with J.K. Dobbins, who is probably still going to be hanging around in some way, shape, or form. I would have thought. And you're right. And I totally expect them to be bringing somebody else in, whoever that is. I mean, Kenneth Walker's being linked with every running back needy team at the moment because, of course, he is, because he's a great talent. But whoever it is that comes in there is going to harm RJ Harvey in my mind. And
and you take this quarterback, you take this head coach. He has a tremendous history of 2 running backs. That's been his thing. That's been his thing that he wants on his roster. And they both contributed. Usually both two running backs will contribute in his offense, and Harvey won't be a complete bust. But, I think the speculation of Harvey is beyond that. Hey, I got some running backs I want to ask you about in no particular order. You can answer them any way you want, but we haven't got to them. And I like these guys. And naturally, I don't believe we talked about Montgomery leaving Detroit for Houston. I think that's a really, really big. And when you think about Montgomery and you talk now, there is a player that is a little older, but you take a look at some of his production that he had when he was the guy in Detroit. It was pretty impressive. Now, Woody Marks is on that team as well. And I'm a Woody Marks fan. Our guest last week, Paul, Balky, you joined with him in not being necessarily a Woody Marks fan, but I like Woody Marks. And then is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, is he the number 1 back in Washington? So those are back. Montgomery, Marks, Merritt, the 3 M's of the running back position. Mr. Paul, lay it out to me.
Yeah, so I think I like the move for Montgomery to the Texans. I think he is going to help Woody Marks. I think that is going to be a 2-pronged approach. I think he's also going to help in pass protection. I think if you look at Montgomery's grading and the way he helps the quarterback and the offense when he's clearly there to block is going to help the Texans overall. But I think it will open up opportunities for Marks. It means they won't have to rely on Marks as much as maybe they had to last year. So I like the move all around there. I think you're going to see benefit. From a fantasy perspective, I probably want to own Marks because I just think he's gonna be the receiving back. We haven't really seen that too much from Montgomery. Obviously, he had an elite talent in Detroit with Gibbs being the receiving back there. He did it in Chicago a little bit, but I just think Woody Marks, that was what was impressive about him coming out, was his receiving ability. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I can't wait to see what happens with him this year. He obviously again, a player that received a lot of hype, didn't really produce. But that running back room, from a fantasy perspective, was incredibly frustrating week to week, knowing whether you should plug him in or not, or whether Rodriguez was going to take away touches. And I just think his explosiveness and the way they spoke about him, I just think he's going to improve. And again, if people are selling him cheap ahead of cuts, which they are right now, you can get Krosky-Merritt for a 4th or 5th round pick.
Oh, I love that. Because I took him in the 7th round last year. Of every dynasty draft, that's been the most impressive thing I've ever done in dynasty. Now, so once again, you're right on. You got to. What's Jim Rome say, Balky? You got to take. And have
a take and don't suck.
I mean, that's you go right after this, the Jim Rome show. We should discuss you getting an agent, Paulie. Now, I have sent Eric, because when you were unavailable, we talked about the possibility of you coming to Kentucky, and then you seem to have an aversion to bourbon, but we can work on that. We have therapy for that here. So what I was thinking, I sent Paulie 2 images. So you could, which is actually, there's a 2-in-1, so it's actually 3 images. And I don't have the tech skills I exhausted those earlier in telling you how to hear Balky. So I don't know if Balky can get these images on the screen or not. Balky, you got a thumbs up, thumbs down, or no go?
It's going to take me a little bit if I.
Well, maybe you can just hold up the picture first of all, the vehicle.
Okay, hold on.
Probably pay attention. This is not the best way to do this, but just pay attention, because when you come to Kentucky, you'll be coming to Louisville, Kentucky. Now, Louisville was a gift from King Louis back when Louis XVI, back when we were doubling up with the French against you guys. So there's my car that I'm going to pick you up at the airport in. So I just wanted you to see that. That's a Jeep Grand Cherokee. They're probably illegal in London. Now, then there is another. This is on the. Welcomes you at the front door of this pub and patio bar that we have here in Louisville, Kentucky, and you can see the name of it, Winston's.
I do, yeah.
And the character there, and you see the boots. You see the boots. Those are my feet that somehow invaded the picture for no good reason. But it was prologue to this conversation. Those are Chelsea boots, Paulie. Those are right out of the English style. So there's a lot of reasons why you would be comfortable in Louisville. So that's what I'm working on, and then we can head from Louisville to Las Vegas. And this is the greatest idea, some of the greatest ideas I've ever had, Balky.
It's right up there, Ferrell. It's one of the better ones. We have a few minutes left in the show. I want to pound out some emails here, specifically a couple of them that came in for you, Paul, from viewers. The first one is Kevin in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. Another place I've never been to, and Paul has never been to. And he writes, how fantasy relevant will Isaac Tesla be this season? Kevin, we appreciate the email. Tesla still behind Williams and St. Brown and, quite frankly, Laporta in Detroit. I don't know. Like, as far as like a dynasty asset, kind of want to keep this guy around to see what happens. What are your thoughts on how Tesla's 2026 season is going to go, Paul?
Yeah, I think brutally, I think he's gonna, and you don't like to see this happen. He's going to need something. He's going to need to see something happen in front of him for him to get a big enough opportunity to be relevant. Unfortunately, despite Dan Campbell saying multiple times last season, we've got to get him the ball. It didn't really happen. I mean, Williams had a much better year last year. He wasn't somebody I was particularly in on. And as you said, it's tough competition. And you also got Jameer Gibbs, who's also taking a lot of those targets when they're throwing the ball. So yeah, I think it's going to be tough for him. He's the sort of player if you've got a taxi squad, you want to be trying to keep him on your taxi squad. But it's difficult with cuts coming up to hold him. I've got that same dilemma: is do I want to keep him, or am I going to run the risk of someone else picking him up for late third, early fourth, maybe even earlier in the rookie draft? So that's a tough one. I think ultimately you need players on your roster who you're going to be happy to plug in at some point. And he's not really someone on a week-to-week basis you're going to be happy putting into the team if you've got injuries and what have you.
The thing I always come back to with Tesla is two things. The thing I come back to. No, it's two things, actually, I come back to. Number one, the draft capital that Detroit gave up to get him on their team. It was significant. And then number two, it seemed like this guy was every other time he touched the ball, he was scoring a touchdown. Like and I know that's not a sticky stat, but my God, what he was able to do in his rookie year, getting the trust from Goff and finishing plays. I mean, that's rare. And it'd be really, really tough for me to, but I understand, with cut downs coming up here at the end of the month, like it's not going to be an easy decision, but man, hopefully you can find a way because I at some point this guy I think is going to be a real difference maker. One other email,
Paul, really wanted to see those bookends between Pierce and Tesla. That's what I would actually see what you did with that.
One other email specifically for you, Paul, tonight. Mark in Roxborough, North Carolina. What's up, Paul? How much regression should we expect from Jackson Smith-Njigba in 2026? Thanks, man. That is Mark in Roxborough, North Carolina. Thank you so much for the email. We talked about Nakua earlier in the show as the potential, wide receiver one this year. Smith-Njigba is being drafted right up there with Chase and Nakua. But certainly his target share was something we've never seen in his career and, quite frankly, a lot of other careers. So I do think there's regression coming. But, Paul, how much is there going to be?
I think I probably less than you might expect. Yeah, teams find a way to get players like JSN the ball because he's so good with the ball in his hands, right? So I think I'm still all in. I'm still picking him in, season long formats. I'm definitely holding him in whatever the offer really in dynasty formats. Who else they got to throw to, right? They've got Horton, who's coming back from injury. Cup's probably, he didn't really do too much last season. He's going to be their main target again. I would enter the season very confidently with JSN, and I really wouldn't be entertaining offers. You mentioned Nakua, right? People asked, and I remember the same with Jamar Chase, with Justin Jefferson. You can think about some of these tier one, absolute elite league-winning players. There is a conversation every year about somebody. Are we going to see regression? Are we going to see? And the elite players, you don't see that regression until much later on in their career. So keep him, play him, trade for him, and pick him off your season-long format boards with confidence.
In a division that featured really, really good defenses. No, you couldn't stop him during the regular season. He had to play all those good defenses twice. You couldn't stop him in the regular season. No defense could really stop him in the playoffs and a long playoff season. I expect regression.
The other emails I want to get to, I'm going to throw them both to you guys. Paul, I want you to lead off on this one here. We kind of touched on this on the main show on Wednesday, but I want to get back to it. This is from Danny in Tampa. What's up, guys? Is Travis Hunter a fade in 2026 drafts with added defensive responsibility? Appreciate it. Ferrell, we know, thank you, Danny in Tampa. We know how you feel about this. Paul, I don't know how you handle a player like this in Dynasty. Obviously, with cutdowns coming up, he's an extraordinarily tough player to roster. But it was just last year where he was like the 102 in a lot of drafts. What are you doing with Travis Hunter at this point? Again, what we're going off of is one comment from the GM last month, but it was a significant one.
Yeah, it was a significant one. I think I lean towards Ferrell's take on this stuff, if I'm honest. But it's hard to sell him. It's really hard to sell him because if he's got, I think we spoke on Wednesday about the 302. Would you take that? Mm-hmm. That's a really difficult call for someone like Travis Hunter on, like you say, the basis of one comment. But again, did we see enough from him last year to warrant keeping him on our roster with the added knowledge that they are considering? At least there must be there's no thing about fire, is there? They must be considering at least playing him on defense a little bit more than last year, which is going to impact his time on offense. So I would be trying to sell Travis Hunter. I think you probably have to just cut your losses, right? You what you don't want to be doing is holding on to him, and actually that comment bears fruit. And by the end of the season, that late second, early third that you might get for him right now turns into a 6th, 7th round pick. I think I'd be cutting my losses, forget the fact I paid a 102 or 103 for him last year, and I'm trying to move on. You never know, you might get somebody in your league who's still a real fan and believes in the talent and thinks that it's coach speak, and maybe you can get more. You can trade for a player who's maybe on the fringes but has got an upward trajectory. That's what I'd be looking to do.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. It's not easy, right? I mean, that's like we get people emailing about us or emailing about this to us. It's not easy to kind of figure this situation out right now. Ferrell, I'm going to throw this next email to you first, but Paul, I definitely want you chiming in on this. The email is from John in Boonton, New Jersey. Dear HSFF Hour, who's the number 2 wide receiver in Denver? That is John in Boonton, New Jersey. Ferrell, who is the number? I mean, assuming number 1 is Sutton, obviously. But then after that, there's Mims, there's Bryant, there's Franklin. There's a bunch of guys there.
I tend to, from time to time, like Franklin the best, but I'll throw this one to Paul because he's on fire with receivers. But I'll say the number 2 wide receiver in Denver by the end of the season, and maybe by the middle of the season, will be a player that is drafted in the 2026.
Oh, spicy. Okay, Paul, let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, that's a good take. I think there's I think it's evident from the question itself. There's not a clear wide receiver 2 in Denver, and I think that's the problem. And I'd be staying away. I think if I was going for one of them, I think Mims has had enough time to make a role, make a wide receiver 2 role there, and he hasn't done it. I'm not a Pat Bryant fan. I think Troy Franklin. I think if I had to pick, if my hand was forced, you've got to pick one to be the wide receiver 2. I would go with Franklin just because of the chemistry with Bo Nix.
I'm going to say this right now to answer this question. I'm going to disagree, but I want to couch this by saying I don't know how fantasy relevant the number 2 receiver is going to be in Denver, but I think it's Bryant. We saw the draft capital that Denver invested in him. We've heard Sean Payton compared him to Michael Thomas, and we saw Pat Bryant in his rookie season getting a healthy dose of targets. And in fact, I think it was like right away, like when he stepped on the field in September, like they were firing a lot of targets to him. And I do think it's close between him and Franklin. I'm with you, Paul. I think Mims is out of the equation. Apologies to Stacy Perez, friend of the show, Ferrell, who I know is a big Marvin Mims fan.
Oh, God bless her.
But I think it's between Bryant and Franklin. I lean towards Bryant here. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it's Franklin. And Ferrell, now that you brought it up, wouldn't surprise me at all if it was somebody in the 2026 draft or free agency too. I mean, we could break that down as well another time. What do we have for time? Okay, I want to do one more email and then we'll call it here. Paul, Tony in Erie, Pennsylvania wants to know, is Tyreek Hill a target in the 13th round right now? Thank you. That is Tony in Erie, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Tony. Our resident Dolphins fan from across the pond. He's no longer a member of your Fightin' Fins, but he is a player that you know well. 13th round in the Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament right now. How do you feel about that ADP, Paul? And quite frankly, I should ask you what people should be doing with him in Dynasty as well.
Yeah, I've definitely taken Tyreek Hill in the 13th round. How can you not take one of the all-time leading receivers across so many metrics? He's one of only 4 players who there's about 10 metrics you can look at, and I've tweeted about it previously, who ranks in the top 40 for all of those metrics. Mm-hmm. Tyreek Hill has still got something to offer an NFL team. He will land somewhere. He will be relevant somewhere. In the 13th round, absolutely, I'm taking him there because certainly best ball format. Absolutely, why wouldn't you? He's brilliant for best ball because of his spike weeks, and his spike weeks are proper spike weeks. In terms of
Go ahead.
In terms of dynasty, you can get Hill cheap, and again, who do you want on your roster to win a championship? I can't remind people enough when I'm talking about dynasty fantasy football. You are playing to win. You do not want to be the manager who is in a forever rebuild. Now, of course, you have to balance that with your roster, but who do you want on your roster? Do you want Jaden Higgins or do you want Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill is going to get you points that's going to win you a championship, most likely. And you can get him cheap. People are scared because he doesn't have a team. We don't know where he's going to go. We don't know how relevant he's going to be. He's just coming back off injury, but he's an elite player. And his if you can get 70% of Tyreek Hill's historic production, that's 100% of many players. It's just going to be roster cloggers.
Mm-hmm. That's really great.
I just added proper spike weeks to my list.
You got to keep it proper.
Yeah,
very British phrase. Got to keep it proper.
Go ahead, Ferrell.
Well, I'm trying to find a receiver that we can stump Paulie on. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have a response, but that he just, the guy's just such an enigma that he can't really be described.
I think it was Ayuk, right? I mean, that
no. I think everybody can agree reluctantly that player is through with for our purposes. But here we go. He has had proper spike weeks. He has never been what you would call a proper guy. He won a big fantasy contest for me once. Big for me. I'm ashamed to bring this up, but I just want to see what your take on him will be. Mac Hollins.
Mac Hollins, Ferrell.
Mac Hollins.
We are scraping the bottom of the proverbial.
Well, no, Mac played. Who'd Mac play for this year?
He was a Patriot. He was a Patriot.
Yeah, and they were in the Super Bowl, so was Mac. Mac was
Yeah.
there. He got to fly out on the plane and everything. So, Mac Hollins.
I'll take him late round best ball, but that's it. He's no use to me in Dynasty in the way that I play Dynasty and build my rosters, because he's not a player that I ever want to put into my lineup. Because you're right, he does have a spike week, but your chance of hitting that spike week or him hitting
1
that
in
spike
16
week when you need him, it's
1 in
the
7.
chances are low, 17. It's play the maths. Play the maths. The fantasy, you can just play the maths most often on these decisions, and you'll come out on top. And I don't want him on my rosters. I'm going to cut him at some point.
But you are going to take him on some best ball team somewhere.
Yeah, because
Look at that, Balky. Hope for Mac Hollins.
There you go. Hope for Mac Hollins.
Yeah, because you're going to get that 125-point week. Maybe you'll get 2, and he'll probably, one of your star players will have a quiet week, and he gets plugged in automatically, right? And that's the point. Plugged in automatically in best ball, brilliant. Trying to choose when to play him in Dynasty, or even your season long. Absolutely not. Thank you.
Unless you're doing Dynasty Best Ball or something like that. Yeah, it's a tough sell. And by the way, he is still under contract with the Patriots, and a bunch of targets just opened up in that New England offense. So we'll see what happens with Hollins in 2026. We will see what happens with Paul Brenton in 2026 because your 2025 was amazing. 8 Dynasty titles, dude. Congratulations on that. And of course, EPB 1983 Dynasty is where to go to connect with you on X. EPB, E like Eric, P like Paul, B like Brenton, 1983 Dynasty on X. Paul, thanks. It's like an hour and a half. Your day's just started. What's your plan now? Are you going to at least nap before the start of your day here?
Yeah. My boys will be getting up probably in the next hour or so for school. So we'll do the school run, and then I'll probably be back to bed to try and get a little bit of sleep.
I think it would be proper for the boys to take the morning off, watch the show, see what a stellar star their father was, have a long breakfast, and then go about your
full English breakfast with the blood pudding, the sausage, everything. Yeah,
good. And do I think that's what you ought to do.
Paul, can't thank you enough. This was so much fun, dude. Be good. Congratulations on the success. Good luck in achieving more success going forward. This is a lot of fun. Don't be a stranger. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys.
See you in Las Vegas, Paul.
That is right. Paul Brenton, hopefully coming to Las Vegas in 2026.
And, somewhere in that first episode from Wednesday night, I believe, and I quote, I wrote it down. If you want a proper receiver, select Pittman. That's what he said.
Right. Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah, you actually did hear that correct. That was 100%. People can go back and watch that for sure. And
doesn't care for Pierce. Does not care for Pierce.
Yes, yeah. And the beauty of the internet is you can go back and watch a whole lot of Paul Brenton this week, which was fantastic. Yeah. I plan on drafting a whole lot of fantasy football teams in the KFFSC this year. Encourage you to do the same. Everybody who is looking for some action besides the FFPC, go to KFFSC.com. It is Ferrell Elliott's baby, and he does such a good job of taking care of it. Ferrell, this was so much fun. Enjoy your weekend, man, and we will do this again on Wednesday, actually.
Well, next Wednesday, the weekend starts early since the podcast is now on Wednesday.
That's true. Absolutely. Thanks, Ferrell. That is Ferrell Elliott, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, and that will put a wrap on the debut episode of HSFF Hour Extra Reps. Got to work on the theme music, got to work on the graphics, but it's coming along. And we will be back with more extra reps next Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern. So here's the schedule kind of coming up. Well, number one, I want to thank Paul Brenton, Ferrell Elliott, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you for watching. We will be back next Wednesday for the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour 2025 FFPC Terminator champ who won $25,000. Danny Kennedy will be our guest on Wednesday. That's going to be a lot of fun. Insider access coming up next Thursday. Who do I have on the show? Ryan Goodman from Rotoballer will be on next Thursday. And of course, in case you missed last night's episode, we had Michael Moore from Dynasty League Football on. So check that out. Anywhere you get your podcasts, of course, the FFPC socials as well. Rotoviz High Stakes Lowdown this past Tuesday with Frank Nunez, the 6th place finisher in the 2024 FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament. That was a lot of fun talking with him. You can go back and watch that at your leisure. FFPC Dynasty and Empire Dynasty Orphans for as little as $1 at myffpc.com. Play the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, the Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament, available now, myffpc.com. $40,000 and $10,000 grand prizes, respectively, in those. And of course, the Big Gorilla, $350 to enter, $1 million grand prize. The 7 Bananas promo is live. The early Rampage tournament is live. 2 tournaments for 1 entry fee. How can you go wrong? myffpc.com is where to go for that. And if that's too much for you, don't forget, we got the Baby Gorilla this year. Just $125 to enter, and it gets you eligible for a $100,000 grand prize. That's all at myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. I will let everybody know Extra Reps will be back next Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. This has been so much fun. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. And now I can officially say your weekend starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Definitely send emails on the new format, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. What you think of it, what you'd like to see. Now that this is a new episode, we could still shape it and mold it the way you want to do it. highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com to let us know your thoughts. Of course, you can always connect with us on X at HSFF. Let us know what you think there as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. This was a lot of fun, and we will talk with you again next week.